Hey friends, Mario Cavallo here. I have just finished uh, my live stream with Alex at iChongqing, and that was a pleasure. My thanks to Alex for inviting me on this morning. And we covered the the 20th. It was a live event, the opening, and most importantly, Xi Jinping's speech, the opening on live of the China's 20th. National Congress, which was a major worldwide event, the second largest, most powerful and rising country in the world, their leader giving a speech. It's a big deal. Everyone who's watching this should know and understand how important China is, how pivotal China is in the world right now, in both good ways and difficult ways. And what I want to start, what I'm going to do here now, I've got some additional comments to make, so I've gone ahead and started up this live stream here myself, an individual live stream on StreamYard. By all means, please go to the iChongqing YouTube site. Make sure you subscribe there. Watch a lot of Alex's other fantastic videos and all of their videos. It's my pleasure to work with them. They do a great job as a media team and a media agency. By all means, go to Alex's, and please go to my YouTube channel and watch the other video that Alex and I just concluded. It was almost 2 hours. We were watching and commenting live during the event live, which is still going on. If you'd like to see the live event, the CGTN has a live feed, and it's with English translator constantly, so you get to know what's happening. Go ahead and do that if you have interest. It's been going on, and it's going to be going on for the next 6 days. The reason that I start this StreamYard right now is to point out that, once again, unfortunately, you're just being straight up lied to by the Western media. Their immediate 20th National Congress headlines of Xi Jinping's speech are nonsense and basically a lie. This is CNN right after Xi Jinping's speech, and it says, I'm looking at CNN's headline page right now. Xi Jinping's speech ended half an hour ago. Leader Xi Jinping focuses on Hong Kong, Taiwan, and zero COVID in his speech at China's Party Congress, the most important event in Beijing's political calendar. Well, I certainly agree that this is the most important event in Beijing's calendar. However, as I just listened to and spent my time personally transcribing live, writing down what the interpreter was saying in my own computer, and Xi Jinping spoke for well over an hour, and if he spent more than 3 minutes out of over an hour speaking on Hong Kong, Taiwan, and zero COVID, that would be a lot. Okay, so here you have CNN telling you that he focused on Hong Kong, Taiwan, and zero COVID in his speech at China's Party Congress. Folks, he said it's just totally untrue. This is the Western mainstream media and at the behest of the United States government gaslighting you about China. Xi Jinping spent very little time speaking about Hong Kong, Taiwan, and zero COVID in his speech. I will take them in the following order. First, zero COVID. Second, Hong Kong. Third, Taiwan. First of all, what did he say in his speech about zero COVID? Answer, not much at all. And that's no surprise because, folks, I've been telling all of you, read my articles. If you haven't yet subscribed to Mr. Ma's Counterpoint China, my Substack newsletter, please subscribe. It's still free. Go ahead and do that. In my articles that I've written about zero COVID, leading to the 20th National Congress, I told all of you very clearly, there's other Western pundits, I don't know whoever they are, with the 20th Congress coming up in October, that's when China will open up. And I was like, what, are you crazy? What are you talking about? You have a complete lack of understanding of what zero COVID is, why it is, and the fact that it's very successful, and the fact that it isn't going to change at all. And it has nothing to do with the 20th People's Congress. It is a public health policy to protect people's lives. And I'm going to tell you the very last thing. They are striving to continue to improve and make more effective coordination between pandemic response and the country's the economics and socioeconomic development. Okay, that's it. There's what you were told about zero COVID by Xi Jinping. His speech was well over an hour, like about 16 points. I managed to type about only 5 or 6 of them as I was online with Alex. And what did he say about, I want to find it here, specifically and exactly what did Xi Jinping say about zero COVID? I don't even think he said the words dynamic zero COVID policy. He said, we have been making tremendous progress in keeping the society healthy. He said maybe 2 or 3 more sentences related to that in front of and behind that sentence. Again, I was online with Alex and I was listening. We were listening together to his speech and I was typing what the interpreter was saying live of what he was saying in Chinese, of course. That's what he said. Okay. That's all he said. So it's just confirmation of what I told you earlier. All right. So did Xi Jinping over the course of an hour and a half focus on zero COVID? No, he said very little about it. There's no change whatsoever, as I told you there wasn't going to be, to zero COVID for all the reasons I've already explained to you regarding zero COVID. Now, I'm going to take the time here to explain to you one more time very clearly how and why zero COVID is China's policy and how and why it's regarded as the most effective and successful possible policy. Okay. And because the answer and why it's people, 85% of Chinese people agree with zero COVID, including my wife in the other room. Okay. And her mother. Okay. Her grandma, my boy's grandmother. Okay. China is more Judeo-Christian than the West. China's society is still rooted in the family values, family, marriage, and taking care of your parents, which actually it's rooted in the Confucian principle, which is known as filial piety, right? You take care of your family. You take care of your mom and dad, and you take care of your grandparents and your mom and dad, right? That's your mom and dad. Okay, this is a very strong root, and marriage and family is still the root of society. Well, if that doesn't sound like a Christian country, I don't know what does. Okay, so that's what China is as a country. It's less atheist. By the way, there's more growth of Christianity in China than anywhere in the world. And when you're told that the Chinese government is oppressing, even violently oppressing people practicing their faiths of all religions, I'm disgusted by this. When you're told this is disgusting. This is so untrue. It's a lie. It's a complete lie. But let me stay on the point here. Okay. The root of what I just told you is family and marriage values in society, which includes taking care of your family. Originally, back when I was first here in China, I was living in a house, and the house I was living in with Lao Liu, he was my landlord. Lao Liu was a wonderful guy, and their family was 四代同堂的, 四代同堂的, 四, 4, 代, generations, 同堂的, living together. 4 generations, mom and dad, okay? The kids, the grandparents, and then more, another set up above, great-grandparents or the kids' kids, okay? And now it's 三代同堂的, 3 families living together, okay, or living near each other, okay? And this is China, okay? So you can understand then that a family is not got much interest in having its parents die. I don't want my parents to die. I don't want my grandparents, we don't want our grandparents to die. I don't want my son's grandma to die. It's really very simple. Old people are old, they become weak. Then, of course, you get older, you get weaker. And then, of course, they get pre-existing health conditions. They go in the hospital, they catch pneumonia or the flu, and that's how they often end up dying. This is common. The flu or the pneumonia or now COVID acts as a trigger to someone who's weak. Most of the time, 85% of the time, it's the old folks, and they die from these viruses, right? Okay. I'm just giving you a clear explanation of what's going on in the world, right? And now we have COVID. China knows what every doctor, go to your Twitter feed, check with the doctors. Stop listening to the crap you hear in mainstream media. And I'm sorry to say, even from different government departments, ignore all that and just go with what doctors know and the statistics. COVID, right up to now, current variants of COVID is 5 to 10 times more severe by death rate, hospitalizations, meaning you're so sick that you need to go in the hospital that you can't just stay home, and the further complication of millions of people suffering from long COVID complications. 5 to 10 times worse than the average typical annual flu that the world's been experiencing for the last 30 years. Okay? That is why in the United States and Europe combined, you have a population of about 1.2 billion people, and you have approaching 4 million people dead, and 2,000, something like 2,000 cases a day today, right now, of COVID, and people dying, 2,000 deaths per day. Maybe it's 1,200 today. It's in that range, and thousands more in the hospital. This is daily, okay? And you have approaching 4 million deaths, which means here in China, by now, if China wasn't practicing zero COVID, okay, you've got 1.4 million households, which means you're going to divide by 3, which means you've got around 450 million, 1.4 billion people, which means you have about 450 billion households. Of 450 billion households, about 200 million of those households are sort of like countryside family farms and villages, living the rural lifestyle. And you got 250 million households in the cities, urban, okay? And you would have 5 million of those households, moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas, all dead by now. Do you understand? That would be the deaths, which would be the majority of them would be the older people who are families, parents, and grandparents, like my mother-in-law. And that would be 5 to 10 times more of those people, your family, your mom and dad, your grandparents, your child's grandparents, who are part of the family, that the grandparents take the kid to school every day. The grandparents live next door. And these would be all the people at a rate 5 to 10 times higher than average annual flu would be dying of COVID. And families would be losing the parents and grandparents. And then the families have the loss of the family. This is death. You say, oh, well, death is a natural thing. Yes, it is. So, but we don't want 5 to 10 times more deaths if we can avoid that. We don't want that. We don't accept that. The West does, for whatever reasons. Okay? We don't. We're in China. This is China. We have to take care of our families, protect everyone's health. That's the thinking. I'm describing to you the value system, which helps you to understand why zero COVID is accepted by the people. Of course, our about 10 to 20% of the population pissing and moaning and groaning because of the inconveniences of COVID? Yes. We're in the middle of a 7-day quarantine right now at home. Can't leave the house till Thursday. We're not upset. We're not angry. We don't care, but our situation is comfortable, okay? Other people are facing more difficult situations, and we understand that. So yes, I understand that 10 to 20% of the population is complaining and suffering, okay? Yes, I get that, okay? And yes, I understand that it's a strain on the economy. Nobody makes denial of those things. Not me. I don't deny those things. So yes, there are, but the vast majority of people, if you go out on the street tomorrow, I'm surrounded by 6 apartment buildings, 6 apartments per apartment building, and there's 32 floors in each building. So 30 times 6 is 180. 180 times 6 is something like 1,080. Fast brain. It's 1,080 families. Okay, right here, just in my garden. If I went and knocked on everybody's door and did a survey, hey, ni hao, ni yao bu yao wo men qi zero COVID. We will continue zero COVID, or tomorrow we will end zero COVID. Okay, and we will just let everyone get sick, and whoever dies, dies, like they do in the West. What do you want to do? 85% of the people would say, no. We stay with zero COVID. We have to protect everyone, protect the family, and the grandmother's in the house. This is reality. So I'm just explaining it to you. That's the situation with zero COVID. What did Xi Jinping have to say about zero COVID? I'm repeating myself. I just told you. What did he say? He said, we've made tremendous progress in keeping the society healthy. Remember, in 2020 and 2021, and even 2022, the only country on the planet with positive GDP growth is China. So while it is causing difficult economic pressures, it certainly is. And George Yao, former Singapore Prime Minister, pointed it out in a speech a couple weeks ago. Go look it up. China has managed to be as healthy economically as possible because of the zero COVID. There's less damage to the economy here in China, and the final proof is that this is where we're at 3 years later, and there's no change to dynamic zero COVID policy. The press release by not Xi Jinping's speech, but another guy today who said, dynamic zero COVID policies we are constantly improving our response measures as we get to know more about the pandemic. We've already issued 9 updates, official updates to our plans and measurements. We continue constantly making more effective coordination between and balance between the pandemic response and the economy and the socioeconomic development. That, ladies and gentlemen, is China's zero COVID policy. That's what it's been. That's what it is now. That is what it's going to continue to be. There is zero reason for China to drop its zero COVID policy. To continue making and easing as much as possible its zero COVID policy to allow economic development, but it will not sacrifice protecting people's health. This is public health policy, doesn't have a damn thing to do with politics, and Xi Jinping hardly even mentioned it in his speech beyond what I just said to you. Okay, this is a reality. Every Chinese accepts it. Okay, 85% fully support it. And again, yes, people complaining about it. Sure. Oh yeah. Oh, it sucks. I'm in my house for 7 days. Well, I don't know. I'm on my 3rd day. I'm going to spend my day watching James Bond movies. For us, it's not bad. Okay. But for other people, it is bad. Okay. And it's a hardship. And we understand that. But we don't have 5 million dead moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas. And that's a hardship on families as well, and a hardship on the society. By the way, in the West, they're talking about the hardship of long COVID. They've got they're saying now there's 3 million employed people who are suffering long-term impact. So you're going to do all kinds of studies on how that's damaging productivity in the society in the United States and other Western countries. Okay. CNN just updated. Okay, I'm on to the next topic, which is going to be Taiwan. Okay, and how CNN, bastards that they are, liars that they are, to again deceive you about China, about the 20th National Congress, and about Xi Jinping's speech, just changed their headline to make it even more nasty and aggressive. Xi warns China will never renounce the use of force regarding Taiwan. That's the main headline. The subheadline is still, leader Xi Jinping focuses on Hong Kong, Taiwan, and zero COVID in his speech at China's Party Congress, which is not true. His speech was 16 points. I managed to personally type down about 4 or 5 of those points, which would take me 20 minutes to read to you right now. And in those points, I will get to Taiwan. What did he say about Taiwan? Here it is right here. Xi's speech. We will never promise to renounce. This is so important. Listen to me carefully here. We will never promise to renounce the use of force. We reserve that option. Directly and solely focused on the interference by outside forces and the few separatists seeking Taiwan independence, not our Taiwan compatriots. That is what Xi Jinping said. I was typing it as he said it in his speech. He had added maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 maybe additional sentences along the same lines. And that's all he said about Taiwan. Okay. Let me see here 1 second. Oh, yes. And the end, he said, was amazing. Okay. Complete and blah, 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 whatever he said. And that listen to this, complete Taiwan reunification can and must be and will be without a doubt realized. Now, how ambiguous is that? And the answer is zero ambiguity. This was the comment I made to Alex when we were together. And again, Alex did a great job hosting our show together. I love working with him. And he's out in Chongqing, which is one of the most dynamic cities here in China. And so Alex and I were talking about this. And we were talking about what are we noticing when we're listening to Xi Jinping's speech today? And the answer was that it wasn't flowery. It wasn't. It was just straightforward facts, reality. This is what's going on. No denial of problems. We face enormous challenges, and we will continue to speed up and accelerate facing our challenges, our problems, our things that we need to develop in our country, for our society, for our people. Basically, that's all the man said for over an hour. But 16 different topics, and he kept saying the same thing over and over and over again. Okay, let me read one part of it here, just so you, again, he kept saying this over and over again. So he was talking about education and development. I'll read this, maybe 1 minute. On the principles, education, science, technology, human resources, and talent. These are the pillars for building a modern socialist country, with innovation as a primary driver of our development strategies, opening up new arenas and building new strengths, relying on talents to pioneer, to propel, strengthen the education system, more scientific development. You know, China's now putting out more scientific papers than any other country, by the way. Fully implement the party's policies in education with sound moral grounding, move fast to build a higher quality education system with fairness in education. Innovation remains at the heart of China's drivers. Create an open and globally competitive ecosystem. Accelerate and speed up efforts, pay attention to this, to achieve greater self-reliance. Breakthroughs on core technologies in key fields. I'm going to go back to that in a minute. Major national projects will implement workforce strategy of work, knowledge, talent, and creativity. Move faster to build up our comparative strengths in global competition. I mean, this is just, it's not particularly flowery, is it? It's just straightforward. This is what we're doing. This is what we've been doing. This is what we're doing. This is what we're going to continue to do. Now, I want to bring your attention back to accelerate and speed up efforts to achieve greater self-reliance, breakthroughs on core technologies in key fields. This is a direct reference, or I would say this directly relates to the chip situation. I don't know what America thinks it's doing with its CHIPS Act, but it's obvious now that America's position is to contain China, okay, not to be friendly in any way. And China's response to this is to accelerate and speed up our efforts to achieve greater self-reliance and breakthroughs on core technologies in key fields, chips, okay? And what was it, 6 weeks ago or so, the article that came out that said, oops, China's chip foundry is already doing 7 nanometers or something like that. Don't quote me, but that's what it was. It's like, oh, how did they do that so fast? We thought they couldn't do that for at least 5 more years. Everything that China, everything they do to try and stop and contain and block China, they can't compete. So all they do is sanction and block with the fake accusation that all these companies are associated with a national security threat and military and blah. This is their excuse. So it's a political excuse to enact economic sanctions, which in the end just spur China on higher and higher and in every way and in the key fields. I mean, this is what's going on, folks. Okay, this is the reality. So, okay, I've covered it. I'm going to wrap up. I've covered zero COVID. I've covered the Taiwan question. We're down to the last Hong Kong question. Again, he didn't say much. Let me see if I even got anything on this specifically, what he said. Hang on here. I mean, I know what he said, but I'm trying to see if I transcribe part of it. I'm trying to find it. I don't think I did. Yeah, no, I didn't. So specifically, though, on Hong Kong, what he said was, we established safety and stability of Hong Kong once again with our national security law. Look, it was the same as Taiwan. Outside forces had attempted to destabilize Hong Kong. Again, this was with intentionally planned and funded violent protesters, okay, who were stopped, thank God, by the implementation, which was overdue, of China's national security law. The United States has about a dozen national security laws. Hong Kong now has one. Good for Hong Kong. Macau has one too. No one ever made a peep about Macau's national security law. This was again NED, which is the non-secret branch of the CIA, the National Endowment for Democracy, had used millions in funds to fund violent protesters. These are the facts of what happened in Hong Kong to destabilize Hong Kong. Their efforts failed. China brought safety and stability back to Hong Kong. That's what happened. And that's the reality. How much time did he spend on speaking about that during his speech? Again, about the same amount of time that he spent on zero COVID in Taiwan, which was like about 4 or 5 sentences over the course of well over an hour. Sorry, CNN. I caught you fibbing. I caught you lying again about China. That's it for today, friends. Have a great day. Stay with me to continue clearly knowing and understanding China based on not what I say as opinion, but what I do. I'm digging into what I know and can see, and all of us can confirm together is evidently, observably certain knowledge and information and facts that are right there. There they are. They're evidently observable. And that's called apodeictic. That's what I base my comments to you on about China. I want you to know and understand China. China is the largest, safe, stable, successful, capable, civil, and peaceful country on the planet. That's an embarrassment to the world's Western leaders who are now running their countries as plutocracies for their own benefit, not for the people. China's running its government for the people. This is evidently observable reality, not my rhetorical personal opinion or commentary like you might find in Western mainstream media. I'm all done. Before I stop, I'm going to take the time because I think a few people have joined me in commentary, and I'm going to say hello. And guys, sorry, my phone was sideways. So I didn't know I was sideways. So shit. I was sideways the whole time. Jeez, I had no idea. Oh man. Okay. You're sideways. Damn, I was sideways the whole time. I didn't know. I thought that my phone rotated. Okay. So hey JM, hey James, thank you guys. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Nanyang Guo. Yep. Confucian values, you know. Also, the Portuguese government supported the Macau SAR national security law. Thank you for telling me that, James. Absolutely. Of course, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with any country having national security laws to protect their territory and sovereignty. Every country does. Every country should. You know, my axis is on three countries: Italy, America, and China. I'm originally from Italy. Wonderful. Love Italy. What amazing history. That's my blood. I'm Italian. I was born and raised in the United States. What a wonderful story that America has. Okay, great. I'm not anti-American. I want to see America be a great and wonderful country, and America should protect its territory. And then China. China's my home. What an amazing story. And I live here in China, and it's my home. And I want China to do great. And every country has the right to have national security laws to protect their sovereignty and to protect their country and to protect their people. Of course. And what else? That's it. Better not. Yeah, sideways or upside down. Guys, I'm sorry about shit. So that whole video was sideways? Oh, man, people are not going to want to watch this. Oh, well, what are you going to do? All right, guys, thanks very much. I'm going to get off now. And again, everyone, be safe, be wise. Take care. Bye-bye.